there traders, and welcome to Trade the Structure. So if you've been waking up in the morning, looking at your screen and you're wondering why EOS hasn't gone on with the others, we're going to take a look at it now. We're going to run through the key levels, which I see is going to lead to some good price action. And I'm going to run through how I look at the markets, okay? I think it's important firstly to understand supply and demand. So I'm going to run through how I interpret it, and then we're going to flick over and we're going to take a look at a chart on EOS and just run through the key levels that we keep an eye at and where we could expect the action to kick off and finally play catch up with the other guys. All right, stick around, we'll jump on the chart now. So why is supply and demand important or important to me? Okay, to me, it keeps things either in balance or it's the thing that pushes things out of balance when supply is greater than demand or demand is greater than supply. So what we're only trying to do is really identify those times when supply outweighs demand or vice versa, or demand outweighs supply. So in this respect, we're looking for demand to outstrip supply. Okay, so we want to see when buyers are willing to push it up and they're willing to buy at higher levels and supply starts to diminish, meaning people have to chase it higher. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, and that's what I'll look for when I'm index trading. That's what I'll look for in share trading. That's what I'll look for in basically anything. On the screen, it's just a bit of an example. I've drawn this up. So we have supply of sellers, for instance, okay? And then we have demand from buyers. So where do they want to buy it? Where are they happy to buy it? And same with sellers. Where are they happy to sell? Where are they happy to get out? And that's when you start to get things like this, when market will start to range, supply and demand, it's kind of in balance. You might get this chop between a range above, what we call resistance up here and some demand down here for support. Okay, you can see the market chops around, but essentially it's in sort of a state of equilibrium, all right? Until something triggers it to push out of that range, okay? So what we're looking for is when the market essentially pops up. So that's just sort of the first highlight when you're looking at not buying on the break, sell on the break here, and then you turn around and get stopped out. You want to see when it's a clear sign that something's changing in the dynamics between supply and demand. Okay, when demand starts to kick the market higher, it pushes it outside of that range. Okay, so it's that first pullback is what we're going to focus on, which is what I've marked up in green. So that's where you're going to be interested. What happens on that first pullback? Is it just a flush? Is it a flush high to trap some buyers and then turn around and squeeze them back out and to move back into the range where supply and demand stays in equilibrium? Or is it going to start to build? Okay, is there really increase in demand or a greatly reduction in supply? And that's what we're trying to identify. And that's what we're trying to see, and that's what we're trying to focus in on, whether it be on the sell side or the buy side. Let's whip over to the chart on EOS, and let's just talk about it with respect to supply and demand and where we expect to see buyers soaking up selling pressure, demand increasing and supply diminishing, and the market I would expect to start to run higher. Let's focus in on the daily chart now for EOS, and we'll just go through the supply-demand dynamics, demand from buyers, supply from sellers. Starting from the left-hand side of the screen, you can see it's pretty much in an equilibrium. We're stuck in a range. Supply and demand were pretty much balanced at that stage. Buyers were stepping in down a support zone around that 224, 221 mark. Sellers were stepping into supply at around that 393 zone, up until we started to push higher. So for whatever reason, sellers took their foot off the gas and market popped up. So this is what we were discussing just before with the green line. We're interested in the first pullback. What happens in the first pullback? Is there still going to be some demand in buying, or is the sellers going to start to step in, supply the market and push it back down? As it played out, consolidated for a while, demand stepped up their game, market pressed higher, and then just took off from there. Now, going forward, demand has started to step in at 327. So what we can see, rather than let price get back into that zone, buyers, they're stepping up the pressure. They're happy to buy it at that zone there at around that 320 mark. They're not waiting for it to get back down any lower. So that's what we're looking for. That's holding. And then just in here, as we start to pop up again, we're starting holding again at higher levels. So we know that demand is starting to step up the game once more. And we're just looking for that opportunity where it can break up. First pullback, if we can get a bit of a pop up. First pullback, maybe a bit of consolidation again, and then let it rip, okay? So that's what I'm expecting. If we can get through this zone here around 625, even just in here, we've got that 542 mark. If we can start to pop up, even take out this level, start to pull back, and then demand steps in again at a higher level because it's already stepped in through here, stepped in here, and stepping it higher again, then we know that there's some interest from buyers. And we know that sellers are going to see that and start to run for cover, right? And that's all we're looking for. We want to see one side outstrip the other. So if that starts to play out, we'll be looking for that high low, what happens on the first pullback, and start to get a piece of the action. Really, it's about managing your risk from there. So if you're going to run up, if we can get in the uncomfortable zone, we like to say, when it's feeling a bit stressful because we don't know what's going to happen, rather than jumping when it's everything, the outcome's known, like this outcome's known up here, right? We just want to buy in the unknown. Like I said, a bit uncomfortable, first pullback, starts to rip, then we're happy. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave us a thumbs up, give us a like, and we'll speak to you again in the next one.